You know, despite some people's opinions, Brett Favre was pretty good. But most people remember him for retiring, then unretiring, then re-retiring, then unretiring, then retiring. But before he officially retired 3 times, there would be rumors of it happening almost every year since 2003. Near the end of the 2002 regular season, Favre was quoted saying, "If we win the Super Bowl, it's not a guarantee I would retire, but think about it from my standpoint. Would you want to go out on top? Sure. Who wouldn't?" This was the day before the final game of the season. Packers would lose in a blowout to the Jets, finishing their year 12-4, but unable to get a bye week thanks to Tampa and Philadelphia. Packers would take on Atlanta in the wild card. It was over by the end of the first quarter. The following season, the Packers made it back to the playoffs, matching up against the Seahawks in the wild card.
We want a ball, we're going to score. They're coming. The pass is picked off. Intercepted. Back the other way. The Green Bay Packers advance. Touchdown, Al Harris.
Then against Philadelphia in the divisional round.
26 and in essence take over. Plenty of time. Down the middle, it's Mitchell. Where will they spot him? His numbers during the regular season. Akers.
Back-to-back timeouts.
Akers. The Eagles are going back to the NFC Championship game. 20-17 in overtime.
After their wild postseason win and loss, the rumors of retirement were quiet. Once again, the Packers made it to the playoffs, this time against the Vikings in the wild card.
Goal range for Morton Anderson. Moss. Randy Moss is in for a touchdown.
Al Harris playing off, bit up on the route, and Randy Moss, without even really being able to run, as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
Favre threw 4 interceptions. The rumors of retirement began to swirl again. It would be easy to walk off the field after that game and say, I've had enough, but I'm going to try to be as fair to myself to do this and to this team as possible. I've had a lot of great games. This obviously wasn't one of them, but I can't base my decision on this game. Even his teammate Donald Driver got in on the speculation. I think he's done. I'm a close personal friend of his. I spent a lot of time with him and I hang out at his house, and I think he's had enough. I really do. Favre did put it to rest that he'll return for at least one more season, and to prepare for his eventual departure.
With the 24th selection in the 2005 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Aaron Rodgers, quarterback from California.
For the first time in Favre's career, he had a losing record. They'd finished the year 4-12, Sherman would get fired, and once again the speculation of retirement began. He did return. The following season, they'd finish the year 8-8. Brett Favre got injured. Rodgers ended up getting a season-ending injury, letting Favre finish the year strong, and at the end of the season, he was quick to announce that he's going to be returning once again. From here, we all know what happens. Packers go 13-3. Favre has a career resurgence. They go to the NFC Championship game, where Favre throws an interception in overtime that gives the Giants a game-winning field goal.
The kick is good.
Who would go on to beat the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. Favre would then retire, then unretire to be traded to the Jets. They start out hot at 8-3, but a late season collapse would cause them to miss the playoffs at 9-7. Favre retires again, then unretires to join the Minnesota Vikings, where he would have another career resurgence. Beat the Packers twice, go to the NFC Championship game.
Favre sprints to his right, throws back across the middle, and he's intercepted. Porter. The return by Porter. Hartley sends the Saints to the Super Bowl.
He'd play one more season, but his body couldn't take it anymore after all these years. He would finally retire for good after that season. Now let's go back to 2007, his first resurgence. Did you know that the Packers almost traded for Randy Moss? Yeah, the same guy who helped make the Patriots go undefeated that year, the Packers almost had him. Who did Oakland want in return? Well, a guy who broke his foot, Aaron Rodgers. What would have happened if the Packers traded Aaron Rodgers to Oakland for Randy Moss? What significance would that have had around the league? Well, the Raiders would have finally found their guy in Rodgers, which means they wouldn't have drafted Jamarcus Russell, instead opting for a weapon to help their newly acquired quarterback with Calvin Johnson. Then where does Russell fall to? I heard people say Cleveland, but I think he goes to Detroit to sit behind John Kitna. Let's be real, Kitna isn't the future, and at the time, Russell was the unanimous #1 quarterback in the draft. This also means former Dolphins quarterback Dante Culpepper has nowhere to go except Atlanta? With Michael Vick no longer in the NFL, they scoop him up in a panic to salvage whatever they can. So, I decided to go to Madden 08 on the Dolphin emulator and did 10 simulations of the 2007 season to see who would benefit the most out of this trade. Going into the 2007 season, the Packers had Donald Driver, who was consistently their best receiver the past 3 years, rookie receiver James Jones, who was a solid player during his time in the league, and second-year man Greg Jennings, who eventually replaced Driver as the #1 receiver when Favre left. The problem is, 2 of these 3 were unproven at the time. Adding Randy Moss to this receiving group could have made them very scary. I mean, look at the Patriots the same year. They went from Caldwell, Brown, and Gabriel to Moss, Welker, and Stallworth. There could be an argument to be made that the Packers would have gone undefeated with Moss on the team. Why was Moss even available to trade? When he was with Minnesota, his first 6 years in the league, he never had under 1,200 yards receiving. An injury slowed down his final year with the team in 2004. Then Red McCombs, the owner of the Vikings at the time, decided he just didn't want to pay Moss. The strange thing about it is, he sold the team that same year. Moss goes to Oakland, and things didn't get any better for him there before finally being traded to the Patriots in 2007. But let's say he goes to Green Bay, which, by the way, the only solid evidence we have of Oakland wanting Rodgers is this article that claims that they wanted a first for Moss, and Green Bay countered with Rodgers. Why would Oakland want Rodgers? He slid all the way down the 2005 draft, threw the ball 31 times, sacked 6 times, broke his foot in the little playing time that he had. I understand why they traded Moss to New England for a 4th round pick over a quarterback who couldn't even get on the field during Favre's worst years. But let's say this trade happens. Brett Favre gets his new toy to play with in Randy Moss, and the first 3 simulations didn't go exactly as I thought it would. Going 8-8 in each one, the next 2 weren't exactly spectacular, and in the first 7 simulations, the Packers didn't have a winning record. Brett Favre did make the Pro Bowl twice. His best season was the first simulation where Randy Moss had his best season up to this point with the team. His worst? Simulation 5, which was Brett Favre's second Pro Bowl season. Believe it or not, they made the playoffs that year. The 7-9 Green Bay Packers host a game against the 12-4 Buccaneers. Anyone getting a craving for Skittles? Let's skip to the second quarter. Packers up by 3, and Moss may have not been productive in the regular season, but playoff Moss showed up today, and if you're wondering if Favre still has it, this floater to the running back on the sideline should end those questions. A good passing game can help open up the running game, and Morency was feasting off of it. At the goal line, the Bucs commit to the run, and Favre to the back of the end zone, and Moss dropped it and caught it all on the same play. Playoff Moss is here. The Bucs aren't down by much, only 10. Cadillac Williams with the spin coughs it up, and the Packers look like they're wrestling a grease pig and recover it. They'll start their next drive inside the red zone already. Looking to add more points, Favre waits till the last second, gets laid out to find Moss for the first. Moss has been tearing it up in this half. Packers play action, but the Bucs don't bite this time. Favre, Moss, touchdown number 2 on the day. This is getting out of hand quickly, but Favre offers to help the Bucs with this scoop and score by Adams to shorten the lead back to 10 points. Skip to the second half. Packers up 27 after a field goal, and there's a legend that says there's a man who put a team on his back with a broken leg. Wait, now that I think about it, it was you. Brett Favre is becoming unstoppable. Evidence is this beautiful throw to Donald Driver over the corner and away from the safety. You love to see it. They're now inside the 10 once again, and playoff Moss, that's 3 touchdowns in this game for Moss. He had 6 all season. Playoff fucking Moss. Now that I've gathered my composure, both teams exchanged field goals and the Packers actually missed the extra point on their last touchdown. As Garcia finds David, please come to Boston for a big pass. On the same drive, Garcia, with pressure in his face, throws to David, please come to Boston, who makes the catch. The drive continues, and on 3rd down, Garcia again finds David, please come to Boston. I can't because I'm in Wisconsin for the touchdown. The game isn't entirely over if they recover the onside kick. Packers have it. The Packers do run most of the clock, but stall out here in chip shot field goal range to make it a 15-point game, and he misses it wide right. The kicker is not good at kicking, is he? Buccaneers have a chance to mount a miracle comeback. 4th down, game isn't over. It's over. The Packers beat the 12-4 Bucs and move on to the divisional round where they take on the 13-3 Carolina Panthers. To start off the divisional round, Favre throws into triple coverage. What's new? But Julius Peppers becomes a broken pepper and will miss the rest of the game. Later on the same drive, Brett Favre, the gunslinger, slings it deep to playoff Moss. How on earth does he get that wide open is beyond me. Carolina isn't worried though. They don't give an F about nothing. Jake Delhomme down the middle of the field, forget about it. It did only lead to a field goal, but still a missed field goal. But still, they don't care. 7-0 means nothing to Carolina as Favre finds Jennings for a 1st down. On the same drive, Brett Favre has plenty of time and throws it deep. He finds the man who carried an entire team on his back. You thought he was good with a broken leg? Imagine 2. This man hasn't even begun to peak. They're now inside the red zone. Carolina playing prevent, and this man does it for John Madden. Packers up 14-0, but Carolina don't care. They gave the ball right back to Green Bay, and they don't care, I tell you. Well, maybe they care a little bit. After the interception, they hand it off to D'Angelo Williams, who takes it down inside the 10. A few plays later, they go back to Williams, and look at that cut. Gonna have to censor that one. We now go to the second half. Packers up 14-7 as Favre finds Driver to get past midfield. Same drive, Favre, play action, plenty of time, finds playoff Moss for the first. A few plays later, Panthers bring the blitz, and Packers pick it up beautifully. Playoff Moss with the play, and it leads to another chip shot missed kick. Back-to-back games with an easy miss. The Packers did get the ball back again, something I haven't mentioned much. The running game was actually running. Later on the drive, a good pickup by the fullback, and playoff Moss with a stretched out catch for the first. Remember when I said about the running game? It's easy to run when the entire defense isn't there to stop them. 40 yards untouched to get a 14-point lead again. But the Panthers aren't worried. Why should they be worried? Delhomme just chucking bombs down the field. Steve Smith with a spectacular catch. Defense must have not seen his face. He didn't score. A play later, the clock is running and the Packers choose to run a prevent defense, giving Delhomme all the time to throw, finding his running back behind the defense. Packers trying to have a defensive stand, running prevent again, and it's really not preventing anything, is it? Packers have a chance to end the game with a first here, forcing Carolina to burn their timeouts. Favre with a gutsy throw to Driver. Game should be over, but a false start stops the clock once to help the Panthers. Then on the following play, they thought it would be a good idea to throw this terrible pass, leading them to hand it off to the fullback, giving the ball back to Carolina with plenty of time left. Down by 1 touchdown, Delhomme, as cool as the other side of the pillow, finds the receiver who high points it over the defender. After terrible time management by Carolina, 3rd down, plenty of time to throw. Delhomme chucks it deep to Steve Smith, who can't stay in bounds with the ball. 4th down, game on the line. Packers bring a corner blitz. Delhomme throws and it's caught by Steve Smith. 2 seconds left on the clock. Game comes down to this for the Panthers. Delhomme in the pocket and it collapsed and sacked, and that's how the game ends. The 7-9 Green Bay Packers have beaten another team on their way to a miracle playoff run. Maybe the Panthers should have cared a little bit more. Now they take on the St. Louis Rams in the NFC Championship game. Can Favre retire on top? Well, on the first drive of the game, a handoff to the running back would determine he really hates Brett Favre. It only led to a field goal, but the Rams take an early 3-0 lead. Later in the first quarter, running back nowhere to be seen. Favre throws to his left and is picked off, double coverage. The Rams will already be inside the red zone. Bolger with plenty of time in the pocket, and with this pass, gets the ball inside the 10. It's now 3rd and goal. Packers overcommit, and Bolger finds Holt in the corner of the end zone for a 10-0 lead. They were once the greatest show on turf before, as Favre finds Jennings for the first across midfield on 3rd down. Favre has Moss wide open for the first down. They're moving it now, play action, and playoff Moss gets behind the defense. He's a menace to society. I just wanted to say this right now, but playoff Moss has had 5 touchdown receptions in the playoffs, and the human joystick showing you why they call him the human joystick. Dante Hall has the moves, has the speed, and he has the touchdown. They're back up by 10. The Packers now need to prove that they won't give up that easily. Favre gets hit as he finds Moss across the middle. The following play action, Favre with a clean pocket, and there must have been a broken coverage because Donald Driver was wide open over the middle for a touchdown. We're now closing in on the 2-minute warning. Rams up by only 3 points. Mark Bolger lets it rip deep, and Torrey Holt is playing like it's 2003. The next play, they pitch it to Jackson. That dude just blocked 3 guys on his own. Rams up by 10 again. Oh, and the first half isn't over yet. Brett Favre still has some magic in him, finding a wide open Randy Moss, but playoff Moss doesn't have the speed, gets tackled short. The following play, after throwing a beauty to Moss in stride, he goes to Driver, but under throws it and it's picked off. 2nd on the day. The Packers would get the ball back again before the end of the half, and Favre somehow finds a way to fit that one in. The following play, 30 seconds left. Playoff Moss with the catch, but doesn't have the speed again. There's now 11 seconds left in the half. Favre going to the end zone, tipped and picked off again. The hat trick by the Rams today. The 7-9 Packers are playing like a 7-9 team. Could have had the lead. Instead, they're playing the resurgence of the greatest show on turf. Someone call Falk out of retirement. He may no longer be on this team, but Steven Jackson is still pretty good. Following the run, Packers in a cover 2. Torrey Holt 1-on-1 in the end zone, and I'm going to be honest, that should have been a flag. The Packers are struggling here, 31-14. It's looking like it's over, but Favre goes deep, and Driver makes the catch. Will that spark a comeback? A play later, Favre in the pocket steps to his right and finds playoff Moss with speed to get his 6th touchdown in the postseason. It ain't over till it's over, and Bruce is saying it's gonna be over. They get inside the 10, Packers in prevent defense. I'm gonna say it right now, it doesn't seem to prevent anything. Rams up 38-21, down by 17 in the 4th quarter. Who do you look to? The man who carried an entire team on his back. Down by 10 points, Packers with the ball again, and look at that tight throw into coverage. Gotta find Bubba. Same drive, march down the field, Favre in the pocket, throws deep, Driver with a catch over the defender inside the 10. Haven't heard much from the running game because, well, they haven't done much, but they get inside the 5 here. 3rd and goal, man in motion, handoff to the running back, and it's now a 3-point game. And if you're probably wondering, there's no way Dante Hall gets another touchdown here, the human joystick with another return. Well, the way they were blocking on this return, I'm pretty sure a toddler could have scored without getting touched. Special teams have given 14 points up and are down by 10. You do the math. Well, it ain't over till it's over. Brett Favre still has the magic in him, and so does Randy Moss. Following play, a back shoulder throw to Driver to get across midfield. There's now less than 2 minutes left in the game. Favre finds Moss again to get close to the red zone. 3rd down, Favre in the pocket finds Moss, but short of the first. They're down by 10. A field goal makes it a touchdown game, but they're going for it. Favre drops back, moves to his right, throws off balance, and that's how it ends. A miracle run ends because special teams let them down. Despite Moss's best efforts, he couldn't carry the team to the Super Bowl. It wasn't like he didn't try. He had over 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 270 yards alone in the NFC Championship game. It just wasn't enough. They did make it back to the playoffs in Simulation 6, which oddly was Brett Favre's worst performance in the series. It makes sense considering Randy Moss was injured for part of the season, but he did make it back in time for the playoffs. Another home wildcard game thanks to a weak division. The 8-8 Packers take on Washington. We're going to start at the end of the first. Packers drove down the field, Favre to the corner of the end zone to Ferguson for the first points in the game. We skip to the third. Packers missed the extra point but added a field goal, and this pass to Moss will add another touchdown. They would convert to 2 points. They added 2 more field goals. I'm going to breeze by some of the blowouts in order to save on time. Packers move on to the divisional round, where they take on the New Orleans Saints. On the first play of the game, Brett Favre, play action, steps to his right, plenty of time, throws deep to Donald Driver. He's behind the defender, who gets them inside the 10. A few plays later, they hand it off to the back for the first points in the game. Later in the first quarter, on third down, Packers have the ball. Favre throws into triple coverage and will get bailed out by defensive pass interference. Following the pass interference, across midfield, Favre with excellent protection throws across his body because he's gotta find Bubba. Same drive, march down to the 3, and Favre finds Moss in the end zone. He had his choice of 2 other guys back there too. Packers go up by 13. Packers missed an extra point, and Drew Brees throws this one over the middle to jumpstart the offense. They're now across midfield. Drew Brees has a clean pocket, plenty of time. I think I could have written my memoirs of a YouTuber before he threw that ball, and they're going to be inside the 5. A play later, the Packers chose not to cover anyone, and it doesn't get any easier than that. Saints down 13-7. We're now in the second half. Packers up 19-7 after 2 field goals. Brees finds Henderson wide open across the field. I don't think anyone has the speed to catch up to him, and it became a game again. The Packers are near midfield, 5-point lead. Favre slings it downfield. Driver is wide open, and just like that, we're back where we were. The Packers have the ball again, and they need to try and put this game away. There's no one better than the man who does it for John Madden. Whenever you think I can't run this meme into the ground, Greg Jennings makes a catch and says, "Hop on my back." In the fourth quarter, same drive, Packers have been marching. Brett Favre throws deep to Randy Moss, and how do you stop that? It's almost unfair. Saints aren't one to quit. They're only down by 15. 2 touchdowns can tie the game. This pass certainly helps. Same drive and wait. Is that a second football on the field? I think there was a second football on the field. Well, the Saints scored. The Saints did convert the 2-point conversion to make it a 7-point game, but Morency says, "I got somewhere to be next Sunday, and that's the NFC Championship game," but is tripped up at the 20. It didn't matter, as Morency would then take this handoff into the end zone to seal the game. Packers are going back to the NFC Championship game again, at least in this series, and of course it would be against the Rams again. Last time they faced them, it didn't go well, and will it go differently now? We'll start partway through the first. Rams ball near midfield. Bulger throws deep, and Bruce got behind the defense. It doesn't look very different. Next play, handoff to Jackson, who has the edge, walks in for an easy touchdown. Rams score first. Later in the first, Rams have the ball again. A pitch to Jackson, left side. Who needs blockers when there's no one to block? Easy first down. Near midfield, Bulger has a clean pocket. Line is dominating, throws deep into double coverage, corner and safety blanketing the receiver, and it doesn't matter. Following play, they pitch it to Jackson, right side, has the edge again. They're now up 14-0. Remember the last time that the human joystick scored? Twice. Maybe it's time for the Packers to get their revenge. The blocking looks to be set up well, somehow squeezes through. Technically he was untouched, but maybe this jump starts the Packers. It's now 14-7, Rams still with the lead. Well, the Rams said we can't be having that, and handed off to Jackson, who goes untouched into the end zone to give them a 14-point lead again. This man is just too good. We're still in the first half, by the way, 41 seconds remaining, and I haven't even talked about the human joystick much. He makes the catch here. The following play, the human joystick is fast as fuck, boy. He was like a blur. He got behind the secondary, suddenly he had the ball in the end zone. At the end of the third quarter, Rams up 28-10, Bulger to the corner of the end zone, finds Isaac Bruce for a touchdown. In the middle of the fourth, Rams up 35-10, and at this point Bulger is just throwing it for shits and giggles, and he's all out of shits. The game is pretty much over, and the way the defender got laid out is a metaphor for this entire team. It's now 42-10, 2.5 minutes left in the game. It's pretty much over, but Brett Favre still has some fight in him, so does Randy Moss. Where was this in the first 3 quarters? With 14 seconds left in the game, Brett Favre would get one last score before it ended, finding Driver for a 39-yard pass. For the second time, Favre was unable to finish on top because the Rams. 7 simulations and 0 Super Bowl appearances. They haven't even had a winning record with Moss, but something interesting happened in Simulation 8. Something that hasn't happened since Simulation 1. They both made the Pro Bowl, and for the first time, they had a winning season. It's only the 3rd time in 8 simulations, but the Packers with Randy Moss were back in the playoffs. The last 2 times they made it to the NFC Championship game, but the Rams knocked them out both times. They still have to take it one game at a time in the wild card at home against the Bears. The defense intercepts Greasy early and fumbled it, but was ruled down by contact. Packers did get it inside the 5, and Favre finds Driver for a touchdown. We go to the 3rd quarter, Packers up 10-3, line is in Favre's face, throws over the middle and picked off by Urlacher. It would lead to a field goal to shorten the lead 10-6. Packers now have the ball, and I just wanted to point out the left tackle pancaked that dude pass blocking, and Moss with the reception. Later on the same drive, Favre would drop back and find Donald Driver again for the first. The following play, a 2-man rush by the Bears, and they still almost get to Favre, gets it to Driver in time, first down. Next play, play action to the end zone and an easy pitch and catch for Randy Moss. The game isn't over for the Bears, down by 9, 3 minutes in the game. Greasy has all day to throw it and throws it deep. 2 defenders in the area and 1 pass interference keeps the drive going. Greasy did get injured on the play, which means Sexy Rexy is leading the comeback. He has time in the pocket, throws, and somehow gets that in. It's 3rd and goal, under 2 minutes to go. Sexy Rexy to the flat, caught, has space, but not the speed. 4th down. Comes down to this on 4th down. Sexy Rexy to the back of the end zone and caught. Uh-oh now. They're going to try and make it a 3-point game, but Sexy Rexy, not very sexy there. The onside kick is very important. They need to recover this. They get a great bounce, but the Packers still recover it, and that's going to be it. The Packers move on to the divisional round for a 3rd time. They'll have to take on the St. Louis Rams. Can they beat the one team that stopped them the past 2 times? Well, at the start of the 1st quarter at midfield, and Bolger goes deep to Bennett, and he's got 2 defenders playing catch up. They just can't beat them, can they? We're now in the 2nd quarter, and the Rams hand it off to Jackson up the middle to extend the lead 17-0. It was a 11-play drive. Packers can't do nothing. Who do you call when you need someone to carry a team on their back? Greg Jennings. Later on the drive, Packers across midfield, just under 2 minutes left in the half, and gotta find Bubba for a touchdown to make it 17-7. The Packers haven't been efficient at stopping the Rams, and the Rams know the Packers can't stop them, so just chuck it down the field. Defender plays it terribly, and Torrey Holt will make you pay. They do tackle him inside the red zone, which leads to a field goal, making it 20-7. There's still 45 seconds left in the half. It's not over yet. Brett Favre, with all the time, throws it deep and puts it into the driver's seat. Donald Driver, that is. They trail 20-14 at halftime. We go to the 2nd half. Brett Favre, quick pass to Bubba, who's got some running room, tackled out at the 44. A few plays later, across midfield, Favre, plenty of time, throws to his right, Jennings with the catch. Close to the red zone, same drive, Favre dumps it down to Driver on the comeback for the first. A few plays later, play action, Favre throws to the end zone, Greg Jennings catches that shit. You can't stop him. The Packers have a 1-point lead, 21-20. They have it again, and Randy Moss has the speed. Playoff Moss is here. That also means playoff kicker is here too. If you've already seen the other 2 playoff matchups between these 2 teams, then you know how much of a menace the human joystick can be. I wouldn't be showing this if he returned another touchdown, would I? Well, he gets great blocking, a seam, and well, I told you I wouldn't show you this if he scored. Near midfield, 3rd down, and Bolger gets plenty of time in the pocket to throw. throws to the sideline and Isaac Bruce makes the catch. A few plays later on the drive, they hand it off to Jackson, who squirms to get past the first down. The following play, Bulger drops back, throws to the sideline, Holt breaks a tackle, tight ropes, breaks another tackle, and gets a face mask. After the play, they pitch it to Jackson for an easy touchdown to tie the game. It's now the fourth quarter. They hand it off to Jackson for a first down and the best run of the day for the Packers. On third down, they hand it off to Morency on a draw to get the first down. The balls on that, coach. Another third down on the drive. Favre stands in the pocket like a statue, throws it deep. He must have called shotgun because Donald's got the driver's seat. They're back up 34-27. There's just over 2 minutes left. The Rams are trailing and Bulger lets it rip deep. Torrey Holt is one-on-one and he makes the catch. Less than 2 minutes, third down. Can the Packers make the stop to the corner of the end zone and makes the catch? They tied the game. Or did they? After a review and what looks to be close, it was a touchdown and it's all tied up at 34. So how do the Packers respond? Well, they hand it off to Jackson, who speeds past the first, breaks the tackle, and gains an extra 10. The Packers did march down the field. Less than a minute, they gave it to Jackson, who's been impressive this game. They do force a field goal kick. 24 seconds left. He missed an extra point. He's in peak form, and he just edges it in. The Rams have one last shot to tie the game. Do they have a miracle on them? Bulger goes deep to Holt, and he makes the catch. Do you believe in miracles? The Rams have no more timeouts. Looking the clock at 2 seconds left. It's a fake spike. They're going for the win. Bulger throws it and it's not even to the end zone and it ends. I guess the Rams don't believe in miracles because they just threw this game away, and the Packers finally beat the Rams. And for the third time, they're back in the conference championship, and this time against Washington. We'll start towards the end of the first. Packers already in the red zone. Favre, with plenty of time, pumps and throws to the end zone where Driver does his best Moss impression. Green Bay with the first score. This is one of the few long drives in the game today. We'll skip to the middle of the second. Brunell with play action throws to the end zone to tie it up at 7. Washington with an even longer drive than Green Bay. Packers with the ball back, and Jackson has been so good in the playoffs so far. Takes this one past the first and tackled at the 34. A few plays later, a man in motion. Favre throws it to his running back on the wheel route, and Jackson with a reaching catch with the first down, broke a tackle and down at the 39. At the 2-minute warning in the first half, a short pass to Driver on the drag to make an easier third. 3rd and 2. Washington brings the blitz. Favre gets it out quickly, and Driver is behind the defense. That's his second touchdown on the day for him. Like usual, the half isn't over. Washington with the ball. Offensive line is dominating, and Brunell floats one over to Randall L., who speeds up the field, brought down near midfield. A few plays later, Packers bring the blitz, but get bullied at the line, and Brunell throws one deep down the sideline. Santana-Moss with the catch. Down at the 1-yard line, play action. Brunell has time, goes to the corner, and somehow connects for another touchdown. There was a review to make sure it was a touchdown, and it was close, but not enough to overrule it. Game's tied at 14. Stop me if you heard this before. The half isn't over yet, as Driver gets the first on this catch. Less than 30 seconds left in the half, and on the following play, Driver makes the catch, tries to split the defense, but can't. A few plays later, Brett Favre is in the pocket. He lofts one across the field, and somehow it isn't picked off. They're close enough for a field goal, and the kicker, playoff form. We're now in the second half. First drive for Washington, and Brunell is hit as he throws, is picked off, and now give the Packers good field position just outside the red zone. But Favre doesn't need to be in the red zone to score. Third touchdown catch by Driver. The 1-score game. Washington turned it over last time because of pressure. Pressure gets there again and forces another bad pass. It only led to a field goal attempt. The kicker isn't very good, but he actually makes this one. Washington wasn't able to get anything going in the second half. The Packers defense was dominating. Washington wouldn't score again, which means the Green Bay Packers are returning to the Super Bowl with Favre. It took 3 tries, but they're finally back, the biggest game of the year. Brett Favre back in the Super Bowl, and it's going to be against Peyton Manning, the gunslinger versus the sheriff. On the first play of the game, play action, pressure gets there, and Manning throws a duck that gets picked off. It only led to a field goal attempt, but this guy hasn't been great, and he continues to be bad. Later in the first, Packers have the ball again, and Favre throws it to the one man he can trust, Greg Jennings. Jackson is the starter who's been having a good playoff run, and he gets the handoff, spins out of a tackle, but fumbles it inside the red zone. Colts recover it. Now in the second quarter, play action, the Sheriff with time finds Gonzalez on the deep crossing route. A few plays later, third down, play action, and Dallas Clark is wide open. The following play, another play action, and Marvin Harrison wide open. Woodson beat badly, and the Colts get the first score. Later in the second quarter, Colts with the ball again. Manning finds Gonzalez wide open over the middle, easy first. The following play, the Colts try to set up the screen, and it's a fumble, but the Packers can't recover it. They're going to regret not recovering the fumble because they left a guy wide open. I don't know if he has the speed, and AJ Hawk brings him down inside the red zone. A few plays later, they hand it off to the Adai, who takes it to the right side, spins out of a tackle, tries to break another, brought down at the 3. Can the Packers have a defensive stand? Manning throws into triple coverage on first down. On second down, the Packers bring the blitz, and Manning just throws it into the dirt. And on third down, can they stop him one more time? AJ Hawk says yes, which leads to Vinatieri kicking this field goal to make it 10-0. We skip to the fourth quarter, still 10-0. Keep in mind, Packers missed a field goal. Could have been a 1-touchdown game, as Woodson is back to return the punt and takes this near midfield. The Packers need to get something going. You do that by going to the man who once carried a team on his back with a broken leg. Brett Favre hasn't had the best game, but he also hasn't turned it over either, as he drops back, has time in the pocket, dumps it down to Jackson, who gets them inside the 5. 2 minutes left, they hand it off to Jackson, and we have ourselves a game again. This is going to make it a 3-point game, and he misses it. Now they need a touchdown to win. The Packers also need to stop the Colts, and they don't do that on this fullback dive. The Colts just need one more first down to potentially end the game. They play action it, Manning goes deep, and just like that, they're in field goal range. Packers have one timeout. All they need to do is run the ball. Instead, they pass, and it's incomplete. Second down, they go back to the fullback, but he doesn't get much. Third down, and one thing I notice is they're not running the play clock all the way down, as Adai takes the handoff, and it won't be enough to get the first. Vinatieri comes out to make it a 7-point game. Remember, the Packers missed a field goal and an extra point. That missed extra point is really going to hurt them now, as the Colts do a squib kick, and it's picked up near the sidelines. He's going to have space, breaks the tackle and the block, jukes, but it slows him down and gets across midfield. Packers' last chance to tie the game here. Pressure gets there, and Favre finds Driver for a short pass. They'll spike it with 24 seconds left. On third down, Colts bring a corner blitz, and Favre throws it to Driver, who just gets enough for the first down. Tick, 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 tick. The clock is running, and they're going to try and spike it here. It's a fake spike. Favre in the pocket throws it deep to Driver, and it falls incomplete. There's 8 seconds left. This might be the final play. Favre throws it deep, and Moss is wide open. He makes the catch in the back of the end zone. This is why you trade for a guy like Moss. He just makes the plays when you need him. Now, the kicker needs to shut up and do his job, and this would have been the winning extra point. Instead, they tie it. A missed field goal, missed extra point, and a fumble in the red zone, and the Packers survive into overtime. Is this going to be Brett Favre's last chance to end it on top? They're going to get the ball first to start overtime, and the returner almost broke one last time. This time he had one guy to beat, and Vinatieri does not let that happen. On the drive, second down, Favre in the pocket has a guy open on his left side, throws it to him, and Lee drops it. Now the Colts have the ball. They run it. Nope, play action, throws over the middle, and they're already across midfield. Third down, play action. Manning is a statue. Pressure knocks the ball out, incomplete. The Packers will get the ball back after this punt. The Colts won't make it easy for them, as it's out at the 4. They don't need to go 96 yards to win, but it doesn't matter because that's how it ends. A safety after a 5-yard loss on a run. The Packers did everything they could to win the game, but 2 players did more than enough to lose the game for them. If this was real, the kicker and the runner would probably be cut in the offseason, and once again Brett Favre wouldn't be able to finish his career on top, but he got pretty close. Through their 10 simulations, only 1 made it to the Super Bowl. They wouldn't make it to the playoffs again in the next 2 simulations, and the Raiders didn't make the playoffs at all in any of their simulations, but that's not what I was really curious about. I wanted to see how well Rodgers performed, and through the first 3 simulations, Josh McCown won the starting job over Rodgers, but in simulation 4, things changed. Andrew Walter took over. Then McCown took the job back in simulation 5 and 6, but for 3 straight simulations, 7, 8, and 9, Aaron Rodgers took over and he was bad. He may have gone 7 and 9 one season, but the next 2 were terrible. I think at the end of the day, if Rodgers had gone to Oakland, he wouldn't be the Rodgers we know.